Yikes. Almost forgot to press live. Let me check my phone to make sure everything is settled and squared away. You know that I always get all my texts right as I'm tuning in and starting on my Facebook Live. My YouTube Live. So I'm going to give a few minutes for everybody to log on and sign in. Those of you that are tuning in over here, I always hate the angle over here from hello, Jamie. I never like the angle that's on Facebook. I look like I'm like 900 pounds. Um, so hello, let me just see. Hello, Jamie and Denise and Anne and Tiffany. Those are logging in from on Facebook. And I'll just remind everybody, if you're tuning in from Facebook, I don't take your questions and I don't look over there for all the questions. So it's better to log on to my YouTube channel. So Greg is not here with me tonight, and I'll tell you that in a minute where he is. But in order to be able to ask me questions, you've got to go to my YouTube Live. So it's really, really, really easy. You go to the YouTube either app or just in your browser, type in YouTube, and then you're going to look up Intuitive Medium Deborah Hanlon, and my page will pop up with the logo that I have plastered everywhere. And click on that, and then you'll be able to join me live through YouTube. That's only if you want to ask a question. So I always let it keep streaming here on Facebook. For those of you who just don't want to deal with all of the technology of YouTube, that's fine. But if you do want to ask a question, that has to be addressed over on YouTube. Also, if you're watching from Facebook, you're really seeing like my studio with the green screen behind me and just the curtains and the soundproofing of the room. And it's not as great of a photo as the one I have here on YouTube, which is a photograph of me. So it makes me look like I'm in what we call the library at my house. So welcome everybody from YouTubers. You guys are joining me live in my library. I just had my second summer camp, and I actually held my summer camps at my home, which was a big deal. We'll talk about that in a moment. I should star that as to remember myself to talk about it. But let me let you know. Hey Kim, I just got your text actually. Let me know where you're tuning in from and if this is your first time. Also, if and how you've heard about YouTube. Maybe you just jumped on and you have no idea who I am, or you just know what I do and what I'm all about, and you wanted to tune in. Either way, this is the opportunity. I do this every Monday night. It's an opportunity of me to just get a little bit more of a kind of just a chat, a conversation going. I often don't know what people want to know, and there's so many questions that people constantly write into me about, and I just don't have the time, although I really do make the time to get back to everybody. Either myself or my assistant Michelle will get back to everybody as much as possible, because I really do believe in, if you've taken the time to reach out to me, I can at least make the time to get back some sort of answer to you. So tonight is just this informal question and answer. I don't take any personal intuitive questions in this format. Sometimes I do. I shouldn't say that all the time. I kind of just throw that. Oh, I just realized I'm in the wrong way here. Okay. Sometimes I do take intuitive questions through this format, but I don't usually announce that, and I just kind of throw it in last minute. So this is more about generalized questions that you might have. We've been having some really phenomenal conversations, and I'm so grateful for everybody who will take the time to tune in. I do feel like this is just like a learning environment, an opportunity to just see what, I don't know what that was. I just heard beeping and all sorts of crazy noise. Just an opportunity to chat with me. So, couple events coming up. You can see up here next to me. I have a back to school gallery happening at the center, which is September 7th. It's a Saturday morning from 10 to 12:30. I call it back to school, but because I put in a $75 gift certificate, and anyone who works in a school in any capacity, that's whether you're the superintendent, the teachers, the support staff, a bus driver, teachers' assistants, janitors, secretaries, you name it. If you have anything to do with the education of our little children, we'll put your name into like a hat or a bowl or something, and then we'll give you a $75 gift certificate to spend on your classroom or whatever it is you need and want. And that's just a little thank you from me to all the school support staff everywhere, because all of you amaze me and you have very big, heavy jobs. And hopefully you feel supported, but if not, I want to extend a little bit more support for all of you. So that is Saturday, September 7th. September 13th, the following Friday after that, I start my really intense energy transformation awareness course. That is the deepest class I offer. People will constantly say, I'll pay you double for a reading if I could just get a session. And I never take anyone up on that. I just don't think that's fair. But this is you, if you want an hour with me, this class is 30 hours with me. So I don't think people understand the intensity of my workshops and what I do and what I make sure you accomplish as a human being. I dig deep, I work you hard. I will intuitively kind of poke you on your journey into learning a little bit more about yourself, getting yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, but doing it in a really super fun and safe and supportive situation. So that starts September 13th. I take a very few or a limited amount of people to sign up for that. So take a look on my website, deborahhanlon.com, for everything about that. And you can always email Michelle at info@beingknowingdoing.com. So those are my big things coming up. I also have an intuition course coming on Tuesday nights. We have yoga stories that are coming back with Kelly Cam in September. And I'm telling you, this is not a yoga class. This is it's a magical night. I don't even know how to put it into words, but Kelly Cam is an unbelievable storyteller and yogi, and she will come and tell us stories of Hindu mythology in such a way that you just get pulled in. And she really encourages you to take a look at, which character can you most relate to. And we have a bit of a discussion on, the meaning of the story. And it was outstanding. And anyone who attended it, you could chime in. I've never had anything like that at the center, so I really made Kelly. We started a series, so she'll be back in September. So take a look for that. So let me take a look at who's here. And everything I'm offering at the center except energy transformation awareness, that is not available online. I cannot do it, or can't wrap my head around how I would do it if someone was online. But everything else I offer at the center is now going to be online as well. So if you are out of the state or out of the country and you want to attend things, there is a way to do that online. So you can take a look online about all that stuff. So let's see. Hello. I see Georgianne. This is when I always feel like romper room. I'm going to be like, hello, I see this one and that one. Hello, Nicole's son. Which son is this tuning in? Is this the actor's son, or is this my giggly 16-year-old son? I also do teen meditation. I can't remember when I put that back onto the calendar, but that's also back. So teen meditation is when I work with 11 to 16. 16 might be a little bit too old. I think that group can probably go back into my regular meditation group. So, and I have meditation Sunday, September 1st at 7 p.m. I didn't even write that here. So a lot going on. On that note, too, before you even start your questions, those of you who do kind of see me online know that this week is, oh my God, week for myself and for so many people across the world. I'm sending my firstborn cave boy named Jack off to college. And he's not going far. He's going to the Bronx, which is about an hour from where we live, maybe an hour and 20. I'm so excited about the school that he chose, he found. He got recruited by the basketball coach, and he's going to be playing basketball, and he is pursuing a career in chiropractics, which is just so beyond thrilling to me, because I really believe in holistic healthcare, and I've had many chiropractors who have really, really, really led me on a huge path, not just on health-wise, but mental and emotional and spiritual development and growth. So the fact that my son has expressed interest in this career is huge. So He will be in the Bronx, and I have spent the last week in between being like, okay, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this. Lists are coming out my ears of what we have to do and phone calls we have to make. And I was on the phone with tech support today about 6 times because we couldn't log on to his accounts. Making sure the financial aid stuff is set up, ordering books, shopping for all his dorm room stuff, and laundry today, packing everything. And he was like, oh, this is mad annoying, Mom. But I tell you what, I've spent half the week doing that, being kind of like, okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. And the other half absolutely sobbing. Absolutely sobbing. Like I can remember when I was 24, just a couple months shy of my 25th birthday when I had him. So now you all know how old I am, which I don't care. That's not personal to me. So I was almost 25 when I had him, and I remember that moment as many of us mothers, you just remember that moment. And when this little one was born, and I do remember being in the hospital, and I calculated how old I would be when he graduates high school. I probably intuitively knew, like, motherhood, you have this great love for this human being that you can't even explain. And also I probably intuitively knew, like, motherhood is like a WTF of life. Like, really? So get peace. Yeah. So I remember calculating how old I would be. And I remember thinking, oh, I'll be 43 when he goes off to college. And that felt like 100 million years away. And I felt like 43 was going to be so old. And I just can't believe it. And then every child that I had after, I would calculate the age I would be when they leave for high school. It was like I had to just get them off into college. And so 43, 45, 47. I remember thinking, I am going to be 47 when my baby goes to college. And that felt like that would probably never come because 43 and 47 years old to a 24, 25-year-old feels like you might as well just be 100 years old. It felt like that to me. It was so foreign. And my God, I wish someone had come from the future and told me to zip it and appreciate every aspect along the journey. I now realize that 43-year-old is not old at all. I feel like I'm just getting started with my life, except my eyesight's gone to shit. But other than that, I feel like, all right, life is good. In my mind, I feel about 17 or 18. So I can't believe that's happening this week. And I wish I'd paid more attention to all of you parents that were talking about your children going away to college. But because in parenthood, at least for me, you can't totally relate to a stage until your child's either in that stage or past that stage. When they're first walking, the thought of kindergarten, you're like, what the heck? That's not for a million miles away. And then kindergarten comes, and you certainly can't think of junior high when they're in kindergarten. So it's just one of those things where, God, our kids mark the passage of time, right? My God. So I'm in between being on point and taking care of literally every detail and sobbing. And that has been my week. So, and thank you all for the best wishes for him. Please send him lots of energy. I know he's in the right spot. But you know how it goes. So what have I been doing to keep myself together? Yoga. Lots of yoga. Yoga, meditation, crying, sobbing, and wine. Wine will always help. Although I really haven't had as much as I thought I would at this point, but maybe he leaves on Thursday, so I'll check back in on Thursday night to see if what I'm doing then. So on to everybody here. Tell me what your questions are. I just want to remind you that I'm not going to answer any personal intuitive questions. That's not the format for tonight. This week, because my brain is between Hitler and Mother Teresa. I'm Hitler as far as making sure everything, well, that's not a good example. Let's not use Hitler. Not Hitler. Who's like somebody like really corporate and efficient? I'm going to say Sheryl Sandberg. That's my my thought. I think Sheryl Sandberg is very efficient and she has her stuff together. So I'm between Sheryl Sandberg and a sobbing puddle of motherhood. That's who I've been this week. So I'm not going to answer any intuitive questions this evening. I mean, maybe at the end. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how long I am on for. But so if you're asking more specific intuitive questions, I'm just not going to answer those tonight in this format. But this is more for generalized stuff. I saw one come through. Let me go back here. Yes, Sharon is writing how the yoga storytelling was magnificent. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Janine. I just posted, people are always upset about they can't get private appointments. And then yet I hear people like, oh, I just logged on right at the time and I got one right away, first time. So I really do believe the universe opens it up when it's supposed to be your chance. I also feel like if you come with the mental attitude of it's probably not going to happen this time, it probably won't. So open up your minds and energy field and just be hopeful and say, okay, if it's meant to be, it will be, because I have seen that happen more times than I can recall. But if you do want us to hand schedule you an appointment, we do that for groups. So if you have a family or a bunch of people, I'd say 5, no more than 10 people who want to do an intuitive, a group session, we hand schedule those. So you don't have to jump on the website and hope for any time. You can email my office, which is right here, info@beingknowingdoing.com. And you can ask Michelle, hey, I have a group of this many people, and we can schedule a group for you. So those are held during the week if we can make it happen. And we have weekends, but of course, weekends are obviously a longer wait because they're more convenient. So if you have a group that is flexible, like next week, if you have a group which is a bunch of teachers, next week I'm going to open some dates of my calendar that I've kept kind of closed because I didn't know where I'd be at with the whole college stuff and back to school for the kids. So I'm trying to get everything together. But next week I will be opening sessions for groups. So that's a good time to take a look. I take appointments Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I believe I have all those days open next week. They are not listed on the website, so don't jump off here now and go to my website because they're not open on the calendar. Literally, they're first open for group sessions. What doesn't fill for group sessions, we will open up on the calendar. I don't know when. I'm leaving that up to Michelle, and there'll be opportunities for appointments at some point for next week. So that's just a little heads up, and only you guys are privy to that information. You and Facebook. Yes. So, Jill, don't worry about that. Are you kidding me? Everyone asks. Don't you worry. Sue, I see you tuning in there. I have to read your book. I'm going to reserve it for this weekend when I calm down from the college emotional tornado that I'm going through with Jack leaving. Okay, let's see. Yes, Nicole, thank you. I wonder how your house moving is doing. By the way, in the middle of all of this, college at the end of, college, back to school, my youngest starting high school. Ben is going for his driver's test on Monday. So we're doing a lot of driving lessons and trying to fit that in to life. I don't want Ben to feel less important because we're putting Jack out there, and Christopher needs to go and get his ID for high school, and we have to return books to high school because we have like a $300 bill for all the textbooks they haven't returned. We've got a ton of stuff to do. So I'm like, oh my God, thank God I meditate. But yes, we're also, Greg's tenants moved out. So Greg and I are also in the middle, and we have to get this house listed for September 1st. So we are picking up all the crap that the tenants left, which was a lot, and have to redo a lot of his home also. So this week is hell, pure hell. Yes, I said it. So I do keep coming back and saying to myself that, you know what, these are good problems. Nobody is sick, nobody is dying, no one has died. These are good problems. It's stress and overwhelming. And I want to cry and I want to say, why do we have to figure everything out? And why is everything always fall on my shoulders? But on the flip of that, these are problems. If I could choose problems to have, these would be the ones I would choose. So there you go. Okay, let me see. Nicole. Oh, Joe Hanka. That's a good question. Joe is asking, let me see if I can add this. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. You know what? I just learned something. Hold on. Let me see if. One moment, please. I have a different screen that all of you can see. Save that help? No. Okay. Joe Hanka is saying, heart. You're hearing a lot about heart coherence, open heart. How do you do that? So funny. I'm hearing a lot about that in a yogic way. And there's a yogi, and of course, I'm forgetting her name, but she's 103 years old. So if you Google 103-year-old yoga teacher, you'll find her, and she's on Instagram. And I highly recommend you follow her, even if you're not into yoga. She's extremely inspirational. And she talked about heart coherence. I know there's a book out, and I can't think of the name. It might be that heart coherence. I haven't read it. I haven't read that book, so I don't know literally what it's all saying, and the content behind it. But opening your heart, the concept really came to me in a whole other way when I'm taking yoga, doing a class in yoga. I recognize that I don't particularly like back bends, and that's obviously when you're bending your back in any sort of shape. And I really dug deep as to why do I not like these back bends. And I used to think at first, well, because I had back issues and I'm afraid, but my back issues have been fine, and I'm really clearing the fear of injury in my body. And I really like forward folds. And forward folds, I'm taught, are very internal poses. They kind of turn your gaze inward, and they're very reflective. And I love them. And I went, oh, that makes sense. I love being reflective. I love the internal quest. Um, Heart openers are trust. Heart opening poses are back bends. Anything that exposes and opens and widens your chest, those are opening you up to receptivity, but it also opens you up to risk, vulnerability, and trust. And I didn't think I had that much of a hard time with it, but my life story, or my recent life story, I absolutely have trust issues, and I absolutely don't want to be open and vulnerable, and I don't want to do that to myself. So, on that note, opening your heart physically is literally just any pose. Shavasana at the very end is a nice heart opener. It's leaving you exposed and saying it's okay. I'm open. I'm here. I'm willing. I feel like there's the word I'm willing and ready to just show up and be myself. Um, so I've been thinking a lot about this heart opening thing, and yet at the same time, Greg has completely opened my heart. My children have opened my heart. Like they opened it and cracked it open and trampled it and ripped it up and then put it back into pieces. That's what my kids did. But Greg and our love story, if you will, has totally opened my heart up to vulnerability and trust, and sharing roles and asking for opinions. So, how do you do that? I think physically do it through yoga or any sort of pose that leaves you vulnerable and open. Um, Emotionally, pay attention to when you're defensive. Pay attention to where you are filling in the thoughts of others, meaning if you go, say, to a workshop and you're nervous and apprehensive and you sit down and nobody greets you and says hello, and it feels like you're like the outsider. Um, Sometimes in our head we go, oh my gosh, I don't like these people anyway. Oh, they probably don't like me because of XYZ. Either we're less than, or sometimes we fill in a story of like, oh, they're intimidated by me. And we fill in the thoughts of other people without really checking in with what they really feel. We just kind of think and assume their thoughts. And when we do that, we're just blocking our own space, and we're not allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and we're coming up with a storyline. And so I would tell you to really pay attention to your inner storyline. And then really, I would say about 90% of our inner storyline is not true. It's just our perception of what's true. So work on that. Work on where you're feeling vulnerable. What trust don't you like? Or where you're too trusting. There's that other side of the coin too. Sometimes I know I get a lot of women will come to me, oh my God, I met this man. It's been 2 months. Are we gonna get married? And I'm like, yeah, let's work on that because someone needs to keep showing up and proving trust both ways. You need to keep showing up for those that you want to trust you, as well as people who want you to trust them need to keep proving that they're trustworthy. So it's not a short answer to that, but I would say mostly pay attention to what you're feeling and when you're feeling closed up or judgmental or protective or defensive. And then slowly it's kind of like that flower that's in the blossom and, in its bud, and allow yourself to open up into a blossom a little bit more. And if someone chooses to trample that and hurt that, that's actually not on you. That's on them. So you can give that pain back to them if you're trying to open yourself up. And I think actually in a meditation just in 2 weeks, the opening of a bud came to me with my heart like, wow, it's really, really, really opening. And then sometimes it clamps shut like a Venus flytrap, and then I eat whoever comes in my path and hurt me. Or at least I want to in my mind. Let's see. Tisha. Hey, Tisha. How are you? Tisha is writing, but Joe, that was a really great question. I hope I answered it. There's so much more to heart coherence. I know my friend Carol is the one that told me about such a great book. If you remind me or send me an email, I will remember to contact my friend Carol, who did an interview with the author of a book who wrote a lot about heart coherence. Tisha says it's not that difficult to put an energy barrier unless it's with your loved ones. This is true. Then you can't help but absorb their energy, or else you feel guilty for disconnecting. That's exactly true. It is hardest to grow and become more and more authentic and more in our truth, whatever that means to us, with our loved ones who have known us another way. So as we're evolving, we should be growing and we should be making realizations about life that we previously thought were true and good, and they all of a sudden they get outdated. Things that used to work for me 10 years ago absolutely do not work for me today. Things that worked for me 5 years ago don't work for me today. That's how life should be working. You should be making progress and moving forward and always checking in. When we do that, we begin to feel really good because we're like, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't realize that I didn't have to be so, I didn't have to be an enabler or whatever. I didn't have to be. And I don't want to be, and so I don't. And it's unbelievably liberating. But the people that used to know us that way, they don't like that. They don't like change that's thrown upon them. So when we start to come to our truth, those closest around us will absolutely flip out on us. And then that dynamic seems unbearable. In some cases, you will disconnect completely from those energies. In most cases, there will be just that discomfort time, and everyone will kind of like land in their places again. Then there's other times where we just feel guilty. So if it's a disconnect and it's an emotional disconnect, you can check in with yourself of what way are you disconnecting? Is it a defense mechanism that you're not feeling anything? Which happens. I definitely have done that one with family members. And I check in like, wow, am I so cut off and cold and not feeling about these people as a defense mechanism for me? And for a while I thought that was true, and I maybe still a sliver of it is true, but I really feel like, no, I just don't vibrate with them anymore. I really don't. I just really just don't want certain people in my life, and that's it. No drama, that's it. So check into that. Absorbing their energy and then feeling guilty is still some sort of sign too that you still believe that you're wrong for disconnecting. So you want to check in on that too. Sometimes maybe we are wrong. Sometimes maybe we are too harsh. Maybe we are too mouthy. Maybe we are too like, that's it, I'm slashing you out, or that's it, I'm doing this. And maybe we are too much. But if you look into that, if you resonated with it and you say, you know what, though, that's the best I can do right now, then that's the best you can do right now. If you can go, all right, I can work on that. It doesn't make me feel good to do that. That's all you can do too. It's all a growing process. It's never ever done. It's never ever like crystal clear, really. But it is a difficult dynamic for sure for all of us. And it's all there for a reason. I think it also tests us, and I think it brings us to our truer, more authentic selves. And people who like it will like it, and people who don't. Just I hope that the people who don't have the skills and the evolution in their own process, that they can actually bring it up and talk about it and bring it all onto the table in consciousness, because then it'll get resolved. Then it absolutely will get resolved. It always reminds me of like the locks on the Panama Canal. Sometimes we grow and then we get pulled into a lock, and we need time for that growth to kind of settle in, and everyone around us kind of comes up to our space, and then we can all go to the next level, and then we go up, and then we have to wait for them to catch up, or someone else goes up and we have to catch up. So growth kind of works like that to me. And if it's not, if everybody else decides to kind of stay all the way down, you just keep going. There's no other way around it. You can't not grow. Otherwise you'll die. I mean, that's the alternative there. Emotionally die, spiritually die, physically die, mentally die, financially die. So that's not really a good alternative. Hey, Sue. Thank you, girly. So that's a good question, Tisha. I feel your pain, girl. I definitely feel it. Nicole is encouraging everyone to do the energy transformation awareness. She just did the last course. Let's see. Oh, Shannon, that's awesome. Full wheel pose used to put you in a near panic, and it took you a long time to realize I was afraid of the vulnerability of being so open-hearted, not the pose itself. This is why I absolutely love yoga on a whole other level, because it's not about the poses, or about the ability to do like the flexibility part of it. Like you're saying, there's so much more deeper connected. My energy transformation awareness, I call it unconscious yoga, or what's the other word I used, Nicole, if you can remember? Unconscious yoga or emotional yoga, because I do things that will help your body give you information as to how you think and feel about a certain person or topic. So it's powerful. Tisha, if I were you, I would look into my energy transformation awareness class. See if the dates resonate. You have to make all of them. It starts September 13th. So if you go to my calendar, deborahhanlon.com, September 13th, click on that, and then it'll give you all the dates and information. It's intense, it's powerful, but holy crap. It'll move your energy. It'll catapult you forward. I have no doubts about it. Hello, Mark, artist Mark. How are you? I see your business is thriving, and it doesn't shock me. Those of you who are tuning in, look up Mark Grasso on my Facebook page, or you can look up his and you can find his paintings. They're outstanding. Like, I don't know art. Like, I'm not a person that can look at art and be like, wow, that's good, or wow, that's not good. It either feels good to me or it doesn't. And his stuff is insane. Like, and I see it through a computer. I haven't even seen it live, and it's insane. So I highly recommend everyone to go take a look. And that's a plug, but it's a plug because you should go see Mark. It's not like I'm gonna get a cut of his shit. I don't want a cut of his stuff. His stuff is so amazing. It's worth the wild. Oh, let's see. Debbie, it's so good to see you the other night. Thank you or the other day at the Rib Fest. It was so hot. I did like a little appearance at the Rib Fest at the Ulster County Fairgrounds on Saturday, and we were gonna I was gonna do my thing, and then we're gonna walk around and have a whole day of it. And all of us there, we were like, we are too hot to eat, too hot to drink. That's how hot it was. Let's see. Carolyn, hello. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Nicole, you asked me this in a message on Facebook, and I said, yes, save that one for Monday night for sure. So Nicole's writing, you've been reading a book by Deepak Chopra. Just let me know. Type in what book you're reading because he's written like 8 bajillion. And he's amazing. And I love everything his mind. I want his mind. I do. Okay, so is he correct with what he says in all of his books? And if so, how does he know all the information? Is he a medium? That's a great question. Is he correct with what he says in all of his books? Literally, he's got to have written about 100 books. I mean, maybe it's 600. I don't really know, but he's written a shit ton of books on all sorts of topics over the course of what, 30, 40 years. Is he correct with what he says in all of his books? I don't think I'm this resource on that. My favorite book that I cite a lot in my book, In the Presence of Proof, is the Book of Secrets. And I absolutely love that book. He talks about the other side, the afterlife, God, death, and everything. And everything he explains in kind of medical terms and mythology and religious terms as far as Hinduism and beliefs around the world. I find it to be unbelievably parallel to what I've come to learn through mediumship, not through his books, what I've learned through mediumship. So is he a medium? I mean, we are all mediums, and he is an enormously brilliant human being. I question if he actually is the author of all those books, by the way. I'm sure he writes with someone or expresses the ideas in someone else's writing. I just don't understand how he would have the time to write so much. And if he really does write all his books, then he's just like a modern day genius prodigy, which might be true. So I don't think he's like a medium as far as, hey, he's bringing people through, but he is definitely a medium of being able to understand science and spirituality and be able to explain those concepts on a layperson terms in a way that we can all understand and grasp. He makes it very accessible. So that's what I think his brilliance is also about. But is he a medium? I doubt it, but I don't know for sure. But I doubt that he's a medium. I don't even know if he believes in mediumship. Although he used to have a woman named Mary O on his he used to interview or work closely with her, or she used to bring him up. I don't know, Mary O. And Mary O, she used to talk like this from Brooklyn. I don't know where she went. Mary Ochino, I think it was her name. She had a segment on Sirius Satellite, I think it was, many years ago. I called up and asked her a question. And my question that I asked her, she said, "Oh, honey, you're scaring me. You're scaring me with your question." And I was like, "Oh, great, great." I had called in and said that I wanted to know what my life's purpose was, and I didn't think I had a purpose. And that was like 15 years ago. Or no, it was probably, I had 3 boys. So Chris is 14, so it was probably 13 years ago. And I was like, you know, eyeball deep in a 1, 3, and 5-year-old. And I just felt like my life was shit. And I didn't like my marriage. And I hated my home. And I was exhausted 24/7. I felt like a crap mother. I was morbidly obese. And life was really awful. And I was like, what is my purpose? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? She's like, "Honey, you're scaring me." And then I was like, great. I'm scaring the psychic. Fantastic. Should look her up. So yeah, that was a little tangent I went on. Hello, Pam. Oh, I'm so glad. I saw that you signed up for the ETA. You should look forward to it. It is so intense, but you will look forward to it. You will get through it. You will, I can't even put it into words what it's really going to do. And thank you. You have 2 new fans. You're listening or watching from Pleasant Valley with 2 new fans. So that is awesome. Joe is writing. See, exactly. In your Qigong practice, Joe said she felt being insecure doing chest opening poses explains a lot. I'll be paying attention. Thank you. Always inspiring to hear you. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how much information our body is telling us all the time. And why are we not taught that in like 3rd grade? By 3rd grade. Why are we not taught that? I don't know. So aggravating. It is so aggravating. Okay. Oh, let's see. I don't know your name. It's DICM89. I've been more anxious these last days. I meditate and do breathing exercises daily. Is it me absorbing others' emotions? Hard to say. Could be a little bit of that. I always tell people when you see spikes in your anxiety. Now, I think there's like kind of like a baseline anxiety. A lot of people have. But when you see spikes in it, where it's like, ooh, it's really overwhelming right now. Some of it, I think, is truly tied into our menstrual cycles and our hormones. And I would not tell men that because they're like, you're bitchy because. No, I'm bitchy because you guys are all slobs and I'm cleaning up after you. That would be why. So I think pay attention to spikes and valleys just connected to that. You might not even be female. You might even be male. In that case, it's not that. Um, but also pay attention to how much like media you're listening to. How much is your TV on in the background? And I talk about this all the time. Are you in a household that has to be playing the news and it's in the background all the time, whether it's the radio news or television news? Um, it is extraordinarily detrimental to our mental, emotional, and spiritual health just to have it in the background. If you want to watch the news, I still don't recommend that. But if you want to, make sure you're watching it with full consciousness and awareness that this is a snippet of a news story and you did not get all the facts. And it is the news outlet's job to hold your attention, and you do that by increasing fear. So it is strategically placed that way. But with consciousness, know that and say, okay, I'm going to take this and filter this through my own understanding. Usually we're very unconscious. It's playing in the background. That is when it's most detrimental because your subconscious mind is hearing everything that is being said around you, and it is processing everything that's being said, and it is making connections all the time. So for instance, when the news like at 5 a.m. is like, have you ever had a hangnail? Scientists are now linking that to brain cancer. Now, if that were playing in the background as you're getting ready in the morning, you probably didn't really catch the headline, all of it. And then, that same headline will be like news at 11 p.m. So you got to like wait the whole entire day to get the story about that. And then at 11 p.m., they're like, oh, just kidding. That didn't mean shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, doesn't even like answer the whole thing. Or this man had a hangnail and he one time got brain cancer. So it doesn't equate, but your brain heard link between hangnail and brain cancer. And it holds on to that. And the next time you get a hangnail, the brain has to figure out what to do with it. How do we heal that? And it goes bloop, bloop, bloop. That's like the siren inside your body. Apparently it says bloop. I don't know. Anyway, it's signaling and going, oh my gosh, brain cancer. And then you get a headache and you have no idea why. And it's all unconscious. And this is how it works. Now, that's obviously a really ridiculous example, and I did that on purpose, but we're making these associations, but they're unconscious, so we don't know where they're coming from, which will increase our anxiety. So pay attention to what is around you. Pay attention to who is around you. Pay attention to, were you out in stores more than usual and you don't like to be? Were you out with a certain group of people that you're not normally around? Really just pay attention to the surrounding circumstances of what is spiking the anxiety. Breathing exercises are great, so I'm glad to hear you doing those. Meditation is a focal point of just calming your mind. So during meditation, really pay attention to what's coming up in your subconscious mind as well. So, oh, Angela, thank you. I happened to look over and I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" And it was a compliment. So thank you, Angela, for saying that. Let's see. And also sometimes anxiety is just anxiety, and like sometimes we just have it. Sometimes it's dietary. Sometimes like, during this past few weeks, are you kidding? My anxiety's off the planet. My anxiety and my anger. My anger is off the charts. I don't like to do sadness. I don't like to feel sad. So instead of sad makes me feel vulnerable, and it's kind of like that heart opening that we're talking about. So I'd rather get angry at people and I mean, I don't like hurt people and hit people and start things with people, but I feel such incredible. It really is. And it's also always that we're thinking about the past that we cannot change, or we're thinking about the future of something that's not right in front of us. 98% of our anxiety exists in those two realms, past or future. And neither one are right now. So we have to really learn to get present. And present literally means let me just breathe and feel the ground below me. Let me feel like if you're sitting in a chair, let me feel that chair against my back. If you're laying down, feel yourself in the laying down in the bed. Just really get present and aware of where you're at. Oh, Katie. Hello, Katie Lynn. I've seen just the other day, Katie, I saw a photo of you on, I think it was the beach. It was a black and white photo and you had a scarf on, and I was like, wow, that jumped out at me, that photo. It exudes so much of your whole entire being and where you're at that I didn't like read the story, if it even had a story about it, or if it was your profile picture, I don't know. But it jumped out at me and I was like, wow, she's like in it. She's like in herself, which is an amazing thing. All right, let's see. Diane. Let's see. Diane is writing, in my opinion, are Ouija boards bad? No, they are a cardboard game piece marketed by Milton Bradley. So no, I do not believe they're bad. Think about it. If a $20 game purchased on the bright shelves of Target and Walmart stores across the globe is an actual portal to hell, do you not think that anyone in politics would go and grab one of those boards to combat their opponent on either side? So no, I'd absolutely, positively, with 100% confidence, they are not bad. What I do think is bad is I think that people attribute too much external negativity to things like that. And I feel like most people are trying to attribute negativity and evil, if you will, on a spiritual realm, and they're trying to find a path to evil and negativity in the realm that is all pure and perfect. It is the realm of spirit and energy is white light. It is light. And every single religious text across the millennia will talk about the light, or God is the light, or energy, or a variation of some sort of energetic light. When you have light and pure, pristine light, there is no darkness in that realm. There can't be. It's because it's just light. The darkness, the heaviness, the density, the evil, the negativity is all in this realm, not spirit realm, not energy realm. It's this realm. That means humans have the ability to take pure, pristine light, our souls and divinity inside, and create and do bad things. And we do. We all do. To a degree, we all do some shitty things. And and then there's some human beings, the outliers, that do like really psychotically horrible things. Most of humanity falls in the median of the bell curve, and the real psychopaths are on the external. They're the ones that get a lot of media attention. Most of the world is pretty good. We're fighting a battle. We're all trying to figure shit out. So what's bad is people attributing this fear, this collective fear about anything, and they're attributing it to an evil energy or spirit of which we would have zero control. And so once again, humanity is making themselves feel very powerless against an entity that is not there. It is not true, and they're giving it all their power. I can't stand that. There's no such thing as evil and negative energy on this on the other side. I had people come up to me this week at different events that I was at, saying, "You don't believe in negativity?" Nope. Well, what about nope? Well, I had nope. I have an example. I have another whole philosophy on what all that is. This is a little bit more of your question. If you are saying like, "Oh, I'm bringing through this energy and it's telling me I'm going to kill everybody," like who did that? A spirit energy is not going to say that. That's a psychological human problem of anybody. I've heard mediums, I've heard people that come to me. I've had two sisters recently who their 87-year-old mother was scared by a medium because the medium said, "Oh, all these spirits around you are really angry and upset." And I literally want to like go ballistic. Their fear and negativity is the construct of being human. It is not how energy, pure energy, works. So on that note, humans created Ouija boards. It is just a game for $20, and you could do whatever you want. We have it. I have one here. I think they're hilarious. My kids tried to use it. We were all on my bed, like all of us, like 7 of us, Greg included, on our big gigantic California king bed last year. And they were like, okay, can we just summons energy? And I'm like, sure. Like literally my brain is like, I am a walking Ouija board, but okay, let's do this. And they're asking, we recorded some of it. They're asking, okay, is there anybody here? And I'm laughing to myself because I'm like, no, there's nobody here. No, I feel it. I would know. And nope, nobody here, nobody here, nobody here. So it's a construct. I think it's a tool that we tried to use maybe a couple hundred years ago, maybe 1,000, I don't know. And it developed into a way of maybe being able to connect in some way to energy, but it is completely unnecessary. But it's a fantastic question because I really do think people need to be straight. And I think people are terrified of Ouija boards. Also, in my book, I talked about my first story about mediumship when I was, I think, 4 or 5, with a Ouija board. And so it's worth getting my book to hear that story. My book is on Amazon, by the way. Oh, that reminds me. I really do need Amazon reviews. So if you've bought the book either from me or online, if you don't mind going back on and just leaving a review, an honest review. I really truly want your honest opinion. Please do that because I need to bump up those numbers. Let's see. Joe is saying oftentimes when we grow, the universe takes people out of our way. I believe that's true. That's an interesting one. Carolyn, what are your thoughts on fasting and intuition? Is there a relation? I do think there's a relation. I'm amazed at how many like millennia really initiated a fasting regiment as part of keeping the body clean and free and clear, which when our body's clean and free and clear, our intuition is everything is so much more on point and in alignment with the universal flow. So not only does junk foods and even good foods, when they build up, they create kind of sludge and slow moving energy through the body that includes our thoughts. Slow moving energy in our body is going to create slow moving thoughts, or repetitive thoughts, because whatever our body is taking on to metabolize, it's also doing that on the thought basis. So there absolutely is a relation. And I do believe fasting is a great thing. I think it should be monitored or at least, follow. I'm not a medical profession person. I'm not a nutritionist because I live on cookies. So I definitely, I can't give advice on how or when or where, what programs to start. But there's so much information out there but I do think there's a huge relationship. Okay. Kelly, I love that. The one with the hot sun. I love it. Let's see. Okay, this is great questions. Yes, Eileen is saying all Irish people choose anger over sadness. That's correct. Also, and don't get upset with me if you're Irish. My heritage is complete 100% Irish through ancestry.com. I'm from Newfoundland and Ireland in the UK. But the organ that processes our anger in metaphysics is our liver. And because it is kind of a known thing that a lot of Irish people might drink a lot, it's because when we're angry, it's because our liver is having a hard time catching up to all that it needs to process if we're adding alcohol to that liver. So it's just an interesting fact. But I do think, you know what? I think I think the Irish, I think we're the most open about drinking so much because I know every culture seems to have like a big drinking thing. I don't know. I'm into that. But that's a whole other topic. Hello, Jennifer. Jennifer, I've not stopped thinking about you and this little baby boy, William, that I'm so excited. So Emma, you're going to be an amazing big sister. And this little boy so chose your family at this point in this time to be with all of you. So I'm just amazing. I was just telling Greg about it all this morning, actually, on our way to his house, to our rental house to get that ready. So Emma wants to know if I've ever seen or heard an angel. That is a fantastic question. If I'm thinking this hard, I definitely can't say I've seen or heard an Angels. Seen? No. Heard? Not sure. Seen them in meditations. So yes. Um, I talk in the book and often at my events about how Mother Mary, the Blessed Mother, came to me in a very deep and intense meditation. Um, that was back in 2007 at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, and that was such a profound experience. And I, at the time, I'm in my meditation, and Mother Mary like came to me, literally like the song Mother Mary came to me. And in the meditation, I'm having this experience, and I'm like, oh my God, and I'm crying, but there's also that logical part of my brain that was literally like, "Oh my God, Deb, stop it. You're one of these people now that like is proclaiming to see freaking the Blessed Mother." And it was so profound. It was so profound. It was one of the top most unbelievable experiences with proof that occurred right after. Again, you have to read my book to hear the whole story. So in her, in that way, I believe she's an angel in some form. You know what? I just had a memory too of back maybe in 2005. I went to a workshop on angels in Cornwall, New York. I was just talking about this too. How do I forgot about this? And we did a deep meditation and I did see an angel. I did, and I can't remember the name. It was an M name. It wasn't Michael. It wasn't Archangel Michael. I think it was Metatron. I can't totally remember now. And that was pretty interesting. But it was in a meditation. So that's a cool question. Very cool question. Let's see. Yeah, Matthew was saying that it's most important to break the fast in the correct way. So if you're looking up the fasting methods, that I don't know enough about at all to like lead anyone on the path. But you know what? I am very super intrigued with the medical medium and his books. His stuff seems to be completely on point. So you could start there maybe. Um, Shannon, it wasn't at the sanctuary at Omega, but it was in one of the main rooms. But I do love that sanctuary. And I just submitted my proposal to Omega to teach there. I so much want to. I'm ready. Now it's the time for me to get onto Omega's catalog because it's time. It's time for so many reasons. So please, all of you, send fantastic energy towards Omega and being receptive and pulling me onto their phenomenal, phenomenal uh, staff. Let's see. Callie. Callie, I'm trying to retrain your brain to be happy after losing my son. Oh, do you have any suggestions? Whew. I like the way you wrote retrain your brain because that's a good way to look at it. I don't have to tell you this, but you're gonna have to feel. So feeling is super important to heal. If you want to heal, you have to feel. I just read that literal post on Instagram this morning and was like, "Oh my God, that's just so helpful." You For us to heal about anything, if we push away any emotion, we're never going to heal. I don't think that's what you're asking. I think you're all too well knowing how you feel and are in touch with it, especially losing a child. You can't help but feel all of that stuff. So retraining your brain is, I think, at this point, probably just acknowledging the loss you've taken. And I just had 3 moms at meditation in person, one mom tuning in virtually this Sunday morning, yesterday morning. And 3 of them lost their sons. And afterwards, they spoke to each other. And it was so profound for everybody in the room. Jen, you were there. Um, And it is such a process. And I hate to use that buzzword process, the cliche. It's a journey because it's like, fuck all that. It's beyond that when you lost a child. So first I would say absolutely just be present with what you're feeling. Um, my office actually, Michelle just presented to me, will you do a spiritual retreat for parents? And I thought, I can't believe I have not done that yet. In the 18 years of doing this, I have not done a retreat just for parents, and it was proposed to me today, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's time for that as well because there's so much to it. So start with feeling where you're feeling, um, and allow yourself annoyance at people um, who don't resonate with you, who aren't on the same page. Allow that. Recognize that a lot of people have no idea what you're going through, and most will run away far because they don't know how to deal with it. Others will say things that'll make you really feel crazy. I wrote this about in my book on the chapter on grief itself. Um, I wish there was like a clear cut answer, but there isn't. But it is going to, I promise you this, deaths are the bleeding thing that causes the living to make huge transformations. So I would I would keep going into that you are on a huge inner transformational journey that you definitely didn't want in this way. Nobody does, but there is no more profound journey that it throws you on than the loss of a human being in your life, and then a child, to me, just digs deeper, deeper, deeper into the earth. So yeah, I will plan some sort of retreat for parents, um, because I can't believe I've not done it before. And maybe it just wasn't time. I don't know. So I know that's not like a real clear cut answer, but start there and allow yourself to feel whatever: fury, anger, indifference, joy, happiness, laughter, relief is a big thing depending on the circumstances. I've had many, many parents who had a very troubled child or very, very ill child, and their biggest guilt was feeling relief that they passed only because it was so hard. So, so it's, you don't know. So whatever you're feeling in the moment is it. Ah, D Mac. Hey there, D Mac. That is one of my favorite quotes in the world, from, I believe it's the Little Prince book, which I used to think the Little Prince book was a book describing my brother. That and Puff the Magic Dragon. I thought my parents made me watch Puff the Magic Dragon because the line in the song says dragons live forever, but not little boys and girls. And I thought they had me listen to that to get me to understand that, hey, your brother died, but dragons will live forever, but your brother wouldn't. I really thought that as a kid. And I was like, all right, mom, dad, Puff Magic Dragon taught me that sometimes people die. And I was like 4. Um, and then the Little Prince, I used to always think and imagine my brother being the Little Prince. Let's see. Yeah, and there's the grief is the worst thing, I think, for a family unit because everyone is 100% going about it and in a different space at a different time. So if you're having like an okay moment where you're like, I'm just breathing and getting through and I'm okay, then in comes somebody else in your family that is falling apart and it pulls you down the rabbit hole, or you want to stay away from them so that you don't get pulled down. um Sometimes you just cling to everyone who is supportive. I mean, there's so many, the gamut is ridiculous. So it is such a difficult dynamic because you're doing it individually. You're in some sort of family and friends group and unit. They're all doing it individually, and collectively you're grieving together, and it doesn't always match up. So just know that there's so many dynamics. It's kind of like an ocean where the waves are all going like this at each other instead of rolling a lot of times. Let's see. My book, Donna. Yes, my book is called In the Presence of Proof by Deborah Hanlon, and it's a medium's guide to the afterlife and how we can create heaven on earth. I talk a lot about the afterlife. I talk a lot about energy, physics, the difference between our human self and our higher self. And it is our human self that has flaws and all our crap, and our higher self has none of that. But the higher self and human self do work together when we're aware of it and we allow it. Then it talks about grief and how to um, deal with grief, or how to approach grief, or become aware of grief, and some simple techniques that we need to adopt to put ourselves in a different space about all of it, about life itself. So it's not a book about, I had this reading and that reading and this person said this or that. It's not about that at all. It's much more of like a self-help manual, if you will. And A lot of times people say they need to read it twice. I am starting a book group finally at the Barking Goose Book and Bar Bookstore and Bar in Newburgh. I did a book signing there last month, and then I pitched the idea of why don't I hold the book group, because every month they have a book group, and I said, hey, would you feature my book and I'll come in and sit and literally answer the questions that people have. So look out for that. We'll be posting dates probably for October at this point, maybe end of September, to join that. That's really exciting for me because I like to talk about it. I want to know what people want to know. I want to know what you need clarity on or what helped. So in the presence of proof. Good. Callie, thank you, thank you, thank you. And all my energy and love is being sent your way, Callie, because to me it's the worst. The worst we can endure is the loss of a child. Okay, Maria, before we are born, do we choose to be parents or not to have children? Absolutely. We're choosing all of it, which a lot of times we could say, oh my God, what the fuck are you talking about? Why did I choose this path? And a lot of it might not make sense, and that's our logical brain, but our intuitive self or our higher self is like, oh, honey, you signed up for this. You're good. You've got this. Let me help you out with this. So when we kind of put our trust and faith in that higher self, it's huge. But yeah, we choose our parents as children. We choose the parents that we ask for. I do a course called Why Am I Here? Meaning on the planet. And there's a really simple way in my mind to identify some of the life lessons that we're here to learn. So if you notice some of the characteristics of your parents, positive and negative, when the things that keep coming up, they will lead you to some of their things or the lessons that you need to kind of overcome and really learn here in life. So if a parent was an alcoholic, maybe being an enabler or following in their footsteps is part of your life journey to either not enable or not to follow in their footsteps and to go the different way and help and heal people who are alcoholics. Perhaps that's part of it. So there's many, 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 many billions of different suggestions there. So we choose all of it. And I think there's something empowering about that on a soul level. On a human level, I'm like, oh my God, I picked the wrong ticket. I picked the wrong line. My friend Chris always says, I picked the wrong line. When we were in heaven, I got on the wrong line. I was probably talking, she says this all the time. I was probably talking to my neighbor because she's the most friendly, hilarious human. I was talking too much and I got on the wrong line. I should have got on the line that said, here's the billionaire line. And she's like, I got on the wrong freaking line. So, yeah. So we choose to be parents and not to have children and to have children. Absolutely. Let's see. Jael, hello. When you dream about your loved ones that have passed, is the sign you're subconscious because we are missing them? No, not necessarily. So I always talk about, again, this is in the book too, about two types of dreams. There are projection dreams, which is your subconscious. And then there are visitation dreams. They're very different. So our subconscious, because we all know dreams are a bit of a processing station, if you will, for our conscious life. But it's our subconscious coming to light through a different means. When someone of your loved ones come through and they're upset, they're angry, they are in hell, they're tortured, they don't want to talk to you, they're angry with you, you can't get to them. Anything that makes you feel very, very disconnected in a very, very upsetting, sad, or negative way, that is a projection dream. So in those dreams, that would be a subconscious, your subconscious self trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Reconcile someone's passing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that person either, by the way. So maybe your pet died, and in a dream you have your grandfather who died and he's really upset and angry and he doesn't want to talk to you. That would be your subconscious mind trying to process grief, and it's projected onto your grandfather that you've never met. So it doesn't make sense. So if it's negative in nature, it is not them coming to you and saying, oh my God, help me, I'm in trouble, or I'm angry at you and I don't like you. It's a subconscious reconciliation, if you will, or trying to reconcile some sort of grief or loss in general. Those dreams that are them coming to you, they're happy, they're healthy, a lot of times they are seen glowing or wearing white, or you're very, very clear on the outfit they're wearing, down to like details. Sometimes they'll say, I'm right here. Sometimes it's a phone call. Hey, I'm on the other side. Um, I'm still with you. Hey, I didn't want to leave you, but I'm still here. Sometimes it's them not knowing their past in the dream, and you're like, dude, what are you doing here? And they're like, what are you talking about? Um, so if it feels light and you've had a connection and a conversation, that's a visitation dream. That's a great, great question. Oh, Carolyn, you're wonderful. Thank you for my plug. I think I'm going to start wrapping it up here because I have such a big week. So I want to thank all of you always for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And every time I do this, I always say to Greg, I don't know, I feel like I'm boring. Who cares? They probably don't care. And he's like, no, they want to hear from you. And I'm like, I don't think so. And you guys are proving him right. So he likes that. So I appreciate that. Lots of information on my website. Please email my office if you have questions about anything. Info@beingknowingdoing.com. Find me on Facebook if you're not already there. My Instagram, I'd like to grow that. I love Instagram. Huge. So Instagram is I am Deborah Hanlon, like intuitive medium Deborah Hanlon. Try that. What else? What else can I give you? Yeah, I'm everywhere. So let's just do a quick centering activity. We'll lead you out with a little breathing exercise. So if it's appropriate where you are, you can go ahead and close your eyes. If it's not appropriate to close your eyes, then just have your gaze stare softly before you. And take a really nice, deep, cleansing breath in through your nose. And then exhale slowly out your mouth. And continue to take these breaths in through your nose, slowly and deliberately out your mouth while I keep talking to you. So your only focus right now is to listen to my voice, and even more importantly is to focus in on your own breath. Just notice how good it feels to take mindful, slow, deep breaths. Already, you've probably taken 4, maybe 5 deep breaths in this time. And I'm sure you're already feeling a calming sensation. I like to imagine that any like soot or anything that's stuck is just oozing out my pores or falling away from my body. I can almost feel my whole body, every cell come down and away from me. Anything that no longer serves you will just fall away from this moment. Bringing your attention to your breath also helps your thinking mind to have one focus, which is just on the inhale and the release, the exhale. Remember over the next week to bring time to yourself to just sit, even if it's only 3 minutes a day, to just breathe deeply, slowly, calmly. That will always recalibrate your whole system. If you can only do it for 30 seconds, it's better to do it for 30 seconds than none at all. And bring in gratitude for your body, for carrying your spirit and divinity, your soul, your true essence. Your body is only the vessel that is carrying it. So we'll send it love and gratitude just for being that. The rest of it is superficial and unnecessary. The more we love the vessel just for being the vessel, the more the vessel will love us back. Stay focused on your breathing while I log off. Try to hold your attention for as long as you can. And I will see you next Monday night. You can tell your friends and family to log on, and have a good night, everyone. Sweet dreams. Good night.